Hello everybody, my name is Chase and welcome to what I hope to be a very short and quick deck profile video. Um, Partly because I'm dead tired, I just returned from the WGP, my second of such big level 2 event, but mostly because I want to leave the more comprehensive analysis and deck profile for other people that exist on YouTube. You can just look them up instead, because I'm still technically like a relatively new player. Like I just started, I started last November, but like I only started for real last February. So it's only for like 3 months or so. After I only started for real after I bought into this deck, basically. That was the Stride deck. Sorry, Chronojet Stride deck box video opening that I did. That was back then. So with that in mind, like I'm not the best person to give that kind of that kind of a comprehensive deck profile, and and also full disclosure, I didn't do well with this list. I went 1-2 today, X2 drop. It's that bad. Um, so if you're just here to snap like a quick screenshot of a deck list, keep that in mind. I didn't do well with this deck list, but yeah, you can be on your way now if you don't want to hear me talk about it. But these little ratios and reasoning for these ratios and stuff like that. I also want to talk a little bit about the event as well. That's the reason why I make these videos. Just want to talk about my thoughts. So yeah, I'm jumping right into. And also I'll be talking about this deck as if you, the viewer, already knows what Chronojet does. Because again, I'm leaving the actual in-depth analysis for other people instead. They are more qualified than me. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Right line, here's the Chronojet. It's off camera a little bit, right here. G units, crest, 8 crit standard, heal, 4 heal standard, OT standard. You'd be a fool to not play them unless you like to gamble. And this is where I can start talking, I guess. So the reason why I went with this weird ratio to draw one draw two front is back in March or something. I already sort of knew that there would be releasing the anime effect the anime effect triggers, and I really like Michiru. So and knowing that he is the effect draw for Dark States, I didn't want to spend more money just to buy the regular Riley effect draw. So I went for the more budget option instead throughout the month of March, which is effect front. And I'm using it here because for this event because I just got it from Japan. It came here on time, so I'm running it with one Michiru because this beautiful boy is my lucky charm. Turned out not quite lucky. Actually, he was the reason why I lost my second game. We'll get to that later. um, but but yeah, so I think probably in a lot of my testings, I've been proxying the draw trigger as well. I think in a lot of my testings, draw trigger is probably objectively more correct. I guess it's more expensive than the front trigger for a reason. Um, but yeah, I will say that front trigger is not as bad as it may seem, because there are a lot of times, sure, I would wish that the offensive front trigger that I triggered was a draw instead, because it didn't do anything. But also the front trigger's 20k shield has pushed me to very comfortable magic numbers a lot of times. Let's say against the mirror, first stride, the Fate Rider was 33 because with the crest open, 33. I can just do 115, which pushes, 120, which is pushes it up to 33k, and just do another 15, which is like a 2-pass, which is ideal. I've come to learn that 2-passing Vanguards, grade 3 or higher Vanguards tend to be a pretty safe play. I may be wrong, again, still kind of a new player with no topping or winnings to my name yet. But yeah, so the 20k can really help you hit magic numbers really comfortably a lot of times. So I've been really to the point where I got so impressed by it that I am kind of slightly backtracking. Oh, is front actually just better than draw anyway? Because draw sometimes might just deck you out because you, I mean, triggering 4 draws is very good, obviously, don't get me wrong, but like sometimes with soul charges and stuff like that, or maybe the game just went long because both of you just triggered 4 heals. You know, technically you might deck out first because of all the draws. But that's a very fringe scenario. But yeah, like the front has come up. The 20k shield has come up so many times that it has made me second guess myself a little bit. But I think because Michiru is the anime draw, I mean the effect draw, I'll be going with the Michiru from now onwards. I just need to slowly invest in it, and you know, maybe even play 4 copies of it. That's just a personal choice thing. It's probably the correct choice is probably 3 copies, but just saying that's for me alone. The other thing is, so I have for throughout the time I've spent playing this deck, I've proxied many different configurations. So I have also, of course, played the Lins. I've even played stupid stuff like the Eagle. The Eagle is basically your 5th attack, but it really rarely ever comes up. But more specifically, or rather more often, my main testing before this I was testing out Swoller without the GG. I was testing out Swoller, and I was testing out just 4 Gangrams basically, like 4 Gangrams and like 2 Eagles, kind of something like this. The reason for this, and I even bought an SP for the Swoller because I like this guy so much as well. The reason for that is, I just think that the Swoller's power can just push you up to your numbers, up to such great heights, even in first strike. Like it's not even a joke. Like when they hit Chronojet, this was 100% the correct hit. Giving Chronojet the plussing and all that stuff, and also just that amount of aggressiveness on first strike alone is kind of crazy. You can really hit the magic numbers to go beyond 30k on just your non-Vanguard lanes. When you stack out your soul chargers with Gangraman himself, and calling out more copies of this with your upstream to stack up to take up those 5ks even higher. You can really go up to 30 to 40k just on first strike, which is just a pain in the ass for the opponents to like guard with. So me really liking this character aside, I just really wanted to try and test out that theory, if this is correct. Oftentimes it is, no, okay, I will put it this way. If it wasn't for Gandiva, or just the fact that it's become such a retire heavy environment, I think this is, I think I would still try to go for this. But because Gandiva is running around, your only source of draw is your Gangram. And Gangram is a main phase act draw. It is not a GG, where you can draw in the middle of battle phase. That is a huge distinction, and a huge reason why GG is better than Gangram. Gangram's Soul Blast tree doesn't even matter, like in my opinion, like because it's a Soul Charge 1 himself, so it's a net 2 still. It still costs 2, technically speaking. But yeah, that's the main reason why GG is still a better draw, is because of how she can draw in the middle of battle phase. And once you've drawn, like it doesn't matter if Gandiva wants to retire her, you've already gotten the value of it. As compared to this, where he has to live like a whole turn cycle before you can even draw. And the other reason, the other like downside to the Solar package, I guess, is that you can deck out very fast. On top of, like, if I play more draw triggers and stuff like that, you would really just deck out so fucking fast that I think at that point I just feel like, okay, it's probably not correct. So, you know, honestly, I don't know if they'll ever unhit this, because I honestly think we're at that point where strike decks are just less powerful, or I would even go on to say, like, probably not that good anymore, because of how aggressive many decks I've come to face really are. Like, Chronojet, I mean, strike decks in general just don't really do anything until their strike turns. And, like, yeah, you can say Chronojet has, like, the Argandia and your GG or /Gangram, to draw you cards, and you can play a grade 2 game against Messiah. Messiah literally, Messiah is literally, they do nothing until strike. But at least Chronojet still has something to do. But even that something is just not that impactful. It just doesn't feel as strong. It just feels like every time you're just trying to stabilize until you get to your strike turns, or even your second strike turn, because sometimes your first strike is just not that strong anyway. So yeah, like I hope they unban it or something. But like I mean I could very likely be wrong, because we still see a lot of representation of Chronojet. But it might just be because that this deck is just so easy to acquire and make because of the deck set. Because generally speaking, in these big events, I only see like 1 or 2 toppings for the strike decks. But maybe then again, maybe just 1 or 2 topping per event is enough of a reason to that there are still a really good deck. So I could just be wrong and talking out my ass, but this is just my personal opinion. Like in my experience, I just feel like every deck that I play against just feels so strong at this point. Just doesn't even, like, the strikes just doesn't even matter. Next thing I want to talk about, I guess. Okay, this one. Oh yeah, so I've cut Solar. This is the reason why GG was my pick, because of Gandhi, because of all the retired stuff, and you can draw in the battle phase. And because of that, you need your soul charges and stuff. So that means Sargon is my main soul charge of choice. Soul charge, quote unquote. Soul generation of choice. I've seen a lot of lists that just play this as a 2 or 3 of. I just think it's 100% wrong. Again, I have no credentials to my name. I've never won an event. I'm still kind of a new player. But I just think that 4 Sargon, or like 4 Sargon is a must, I think. First of all, I want to say, Lin sucks. Like, I cannot stand this fucking card. This card is not a filter. This is a top 2, and you add anything into the soul, and then you bottom the other one. It doesn't shuffle. So in the best case scenario for this card, where you get a clean card and you bottom your trigger, it doesn't even shuffle. It's not a filter. Like, sure, you can say, well, cross turn, I can upstream and shuffle. That would be a filtering. But passing turn, you kind of want that trigger as like a defensive sometimes. So this card honestly just fucked me over way more times than I can count. Like, to the point where I even started having some habits of, when I play this card, I just want to lead with this Steam Breath, because I get to shuffle the trigger back and shit like that. But most of the time it just fucks me over with like review 2 triggers, or just review key crucial cards that I would much rather have had. That's why I stuck with mostly Sargon, and then 2 of Gungrams. Gungram at least just blind charges 1 instead of 2. This technically just blind charges 2. That's how I see this card. That's how bad Lin is. I just really do not understand when people still play it. Now, of course, you would say, well, Sargon is on hit. That's not a reliable source of soul generation. Well, to that I say, first of all, if you feel the Sargon behind your Vanguard in your early turns, that pressure is, I've learned that it's really, really big. Because, well, first of all, during the early turns when Vanguard swings and stuff like that, you kind of don't want to guard it if it's like a 1 pass. You only really guard it if it's a if it's really like an OT pass, because it's only 1 check. Because you just don't want to like waste your shields, your hand, and all that stuff, and then they can just trigger 1. Oh, 1 pass. Oh, I actually triggered 1. Now you die. You just wasted a shield, and I get to attack you and soul charge you for free. And that's the reason why I think Sargon is a 4-off, because of that that sort of dynamic alone. Like, it makes your Vanguards 1 passes in the pre-grade 3 turns. And it also is an on hit where it makes your opponent think twice about guarding. Sometimes even like if I went second or something, yeah, if I went second and I don't have like I only discarded 1 to ride, and then I don't have an upstream to discard to get the maximum value of the put 2 into soul, I would still do it, because maybe my opponent would think, okay, well, it's just 1 card, I'll just let them have it. Sometimes that 1 is all I need. But there are like very few games I want to say where the Sargon just gets denied all the time, and then I'm left with very few souls. Well, to that, I say that, well, in that case, this is where your backup Gangnam comes into play, and also, generally speaking, you're just almost never really resolving the GG more than twice. Like in a world where like you play Lin, you play Gangnam, or even you play the Solar before the banlist hit, stuff like that. Like I think maximum 3. Like it's just so much soul, you know. Um, that yeah, I think like the quote unquote psychological slash mind game pressure of Sargon just makes more sense to play against the opponent with, especially in like an actual high level tournament where it's 25 minutes. Then if the timer hits 0 seconds, then they um, double loss. So they don't want to spend too much time thinking about whether it's worth it to just do this. So maybe they won't even bother about this. So sometimes you can still get your two souls that way. So yeah, 4 off. This one I've also seen a lot of people, well not a lot, but some people cut. Argandia, partially the reason why I run 4 is because he's also my waifu choice, but objectively speaking, Argandia is just too good to run at less than 4 off. Like, this card is just, not only is he your extra 15k shield, think of him as your 15k shield outside of your triggers. Suddenly this card is like pretty damn good. Or fuck it, even like pre-strike turns, it's a 10k shield. Yeah, it's cost you a soul, but you have these. So and that's only like one part of it. He is also like your early game aggression. Like every time I face a mirror strike deck and I just mulligan for I just try to dig for this. And if I have it, like I'm just happy. Like it is just, I mean, I think you guys know about like the stride mirror grade 2 gaming stuff by now, but yeah, this is like the mirror breaker. Like whoever has this wins basically. Um, like sometimes you might even feel this as well, but you kind of want to save this. But yeah, like yeah, 4 off, 4. Just don't even trip. Um, yeah, I guess the last things that I can say about the deck would be like here, the great trees. So I've also tinkered a bit with the great tree ratios. I think this is the most comfortable ratio that I'm okay with. So oh yeah, also by extension, the Steam Breath. Steam Breath, I've seen some people put it to 3 copies or whatever. 4 off. Like, do not even fuck around with that. This is your main. This is the main card you want to stride most of the time. This Bailey is what you want to get out of your on riding your Chronojet. But this one is just, yeah, 4 copies. Don't even think about it. And sometimes even I've come to learn that just using this, discarding the Steam Breath for effect to get your Chronojet on your first or second turn, or even like your pre-Great Tree turn, is not exactly the right thing to do. Because think about it, you're filtering your deck with this because you want to trigger more, right? Now, if you're using Sargon, of course you want to trigger, but what if you're facing down just a regular board where there's not much aggression, where like they're attacking you and you don't want to guard, and then you take a trigger. So it's kind of a waste of trigger sometimes. So that's why I come to learn like this is a very minute mathematical difference of like, oh, would it be more likely for me to hit the trigger if I do this? I'm not gonna get too deep into that because I barely even passed high school math, much less statistics or whatever. But I've come to learn that I'm not gonna discard this to get this until after my striding turn when I'm triple driving, because that's when I can really filter. If I get this, if this gets stuck in the damage, or if I draw into this before I do this, then cry about it. Honestly, it's fine. Like I can just discard this for other stuff. The other reason why I cut down the great trees down to this ratio is because the biggest weakness of stride deck is getting aggro rushed. When you draw these, their shield value is 0. You don't want to draw these like in your early game. Yeah, like so. But I've also come to play around with the ratio where I used to just play with 1 Bailey. Yeah, it's just way too uncomfortable. Sometimes the Bailey you draw it, sometimes it just gets stuck into your damage. It just doesn't feel good. 2 is where I'm extremely perfectly comfortable with. Same as this. 3 too much, 1 too little. It's very essential for next stage striding. So 2. Very nice. And so PG, and I think that's about it. Like, I think even I said quick deck profile, but I've been talking for 20 minutes. Today, yeah. Oh god, yeah. Never mind. I guess it's gonna be a bit of a longer video than I thought. So today, so round one opponent, I kind of bullied my Messiah opponent because they're Messiah. This is just a Messiah killer, honestly. Like Messiah has no early game. In fact, like I think my opponent just bricked to shit too. Like they dealt 4 damage to me on turn 1, but like I stabilized because they bricked. It's actually really sad. Um, but yeah, and then round 2, I got hit with Majesty Lord Blaster, something I completely did not expect because I'm still new to the game. Didn't expect that at all. And round 3 was a lyrical deck that I don't remember the name of, but it's the one that has base 2 crit and it doesn't let you play Sentinel. These 2 decks in a row with base 2 crit just really made me wish that I had just bought the effect heal. Because like you already have Ava, you already have Gandiva, you already have Messiah, you already have Drajewel. No one plays Drajewel in our place, but I think Drajewel technically is still a 2 crit deck. You already have all these, but like you still have those 2 decks that I faced today as the natural 2 crit decks. Like I feel like it's about time for me to invest in those effect heal, honestly. Like the 10k shield, sure, if you face random decks and cry about it, I guess. But oh god, like today's biggest weakness, I think. Okay, I don't know if it's luck or not, but I'm gonna own up to it. I think it's my inexperience because facing down these 2 base 2 crits decks, I was having a really hard time juggling between taking the damage and not taking the damage. Most of the time, I just guard the 2 crit. And once they've already attacked with their Vanguard, and I guarded, then they're just gonna pass turn when they find out that I have no counter blast to work with. And I've already taken that into account, mind you. They didn't take me by surprise. I was thinking really hard whether I want to take those 2 damage just so I can do my proper plays. But like it, I just as an inexperienced player, I still do not know how to learn to control or balance between taking the damage and guarding against those damages and stuff like that. There was even one instance where I per PG'd against the 2 crit and then they double critted and then they gave it 1 lane so that lane has 3 crit. And I'm like, and I also PG'd that lane because no way I'm taking 3 damage, and then I got counter blast lock. But if I didn't PG the Vanguard, I would have just died there. Speaking of which, my round 2 opponent, I dealt like 3 straight damage to them. It made them go to 5, and then I was still at 0. They healed 1, so they're at 4. I was having like a huge advantage, life advantage, but it slowly got whittled down because I just couldn't do my strike turns properly. Therefore, I also couldn't plus properly, and ultimately, at the final turn, I was at 2 life. I no guarded their Vanguard, and they just double critted me, and that was 4 damage for game. That was that. Like, I mean, you can say luck, but you can also say inexperience, honestly, and just maybe bad plays even. Maybe I should have just taken. Statistically speaking, maybe they wouldn't have triggered the critical triggers during the early turns, so I should have just taken those. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. This is a learning process for me. But yeah, WGP very fun. We have one actually in 3 weeks in another place that I would have to take a flight for, which I'm looking into doing that because I just love competing. Even if there's no price, I don't give a fuck about the pricing. I just like to compete. Like I play these games like just to compete, just for the fun of it, thrill of it, really. So yeah, I'm mostly going to that, and the main lessons I guess that I've gathered out of WGP, or at least this one, is just that honestly, just get my 8 hours of sleep. Just get however many hours of sleep your body generally needs, because I was just staying up, because I have to re-sleeve these decks because my old sleeves were just so old. They're gonna get me disqualified because they're just so fucking old, and you can see markings everywhere and stuff like that. So I have to re-sleeve everything, and I'm just a slow sleever. Sleeving a deck takes me 2 hours. It really does. Like I got nothing to say. I'm just overly protective of my cards and stuff like that. But yeah, just don't do stuff at the last minute, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. Honestly, the next WGP, I'm probably just bringing this deck again. Maybe with one or two more Michirus. I'll probably make a video again, um, and talk about that experience a little bit. But yeah, you're probably gonna see the same deck over and over again. Oh, funny thing I want to say, and this is the last thing I will say. I promise. Today's lucky draw was so at the end when Swiss is over, they announced top cut. Then they finally announced lucky draw for anyone that's persevered and stayed for 8 hours at the venue. The thing is, the lucky draw was not a conventional, or was not done through a conventional method like a randomization method. It was done through like the MC basically just spouting random colors that a person's T-shirt is wearing and a random nation. So, for example, if the MC says anyone wearing a white shirt playing Dragon Empire deck, and then maybe a couple of them come in, maybe a couple of them raise their hand, and then they go forward, and then they do their randomizing process that way. Um, and yeah, like once I realized that, I was like, okay, there's no way Chronojet is gonna get it. So I just completely tuned out. But but at one point, the MC called for black shirt, which I was wearing, and they called for Shaman King. If it wasn't for the fact that I found, so Shaman King was my first deck that I took into to like a 40-man event back in November when I just started this game, quote unquote. It was Shaman King that drew me into the game to begin with. Like I bought the Shaman King trial deck and just that same weekend I just jumped headfirst into like a 40-man kind of a big event. Well, semi-big, medium big, whatever. Because I just love doing that. Like it's how I learn, I guess. And that November was full of Chronojets. Because Chronojet just came out, and like I asked my friend, "Hey, what is this Chronojet deck? Can you show me?" And then I learned more about Vanguard as a series and IP and stuff like that. And I was like, "Wow, this Chrono character, he's very cute." So okay, fine, I'll main Chronojet. And because if Chronojet hadn't happened, I would have 100% um, bought into proper constructed Shaman King because that was the main deck I was aiming at. So I could have actually won whatever it was that they were giving out. I think some sleeves or something. I could have won whatever they were giving out today. Basically, which is just extremely funny to me. Oh, fuck, storytelling. Last thing, this Michiru actually lost me the second game because when when I was taking lethal, um, he was the fifth damage, and I had to draw, and I drew the heal trigger. So yeah, like Michiru fucked me over. Um, these are my packs that I got. Like these are the anime. These are what they call it again. The Deluxe FR pack. Yeah, this is where the Michiru one came from. I think one guy pulled Michiru at the venue today, so good for them. Everyone was cheering. God damn it. That should have been me. um, these are what I pulled. The reason why I have two is because like I got to so there's a side event thing going on, and you have to play a couple of people. There's like a mini bracket, and if you survive, if you're the champion of that mini bracket, then you get another PR. I think almost nobody or maybe very little people know about this, that you can get one copy of or one pack of this if you're the champion, because I just beat one opponent and the rest of everyone else in that bracket just left. Like they were just nowhere to be found, so I was the only one left. So so I mean I knew I was getting this. I don't know if those people knew that they were getting this as well. But yeah, like I guess read next time the lesson is read the side events like prizes properly, I guess. Because you might have missed out on it. And Michiru almost damn saved me from going too deep into the tournament, just so I have a chance to at another shot at getting a second PR pack. If it was a Michiru, that would have been so goddamn poetic. Goddamn, like Michiru just saved me from just save me from getting too deep into the tournament, the main event tournament, just so I can get into the side event. Oh, and this is my pull. Funny little foil dog. Kind of interested in the well-struck deck as well, but I don't have that much money, so, you know, we'll see what happens with that. All right, for real this time, I'm done. Oh, and these are the random stuff that I bought from the menu. I'm done. So yeah, sorry for blabbering on too much. Like I promised that I wouldn't. But I promise that I will continue doing this again because that's what I like doing. So yeah, thank you for listening up to this point thus far, if you still are, and have a good one.